Welcome. Did that sound like a phrase that starts out as a challenge and ends reaching out? I meant it that way if I did it correctly. Now, I ended the first segment with the word Nooice. In this case, to show support for the inauguration. So I want to get attribution correct. I wanted to clarify the story behind it. A few years back, my son started using this phrase, Nooice. I didn't think too much of it, but I started using it a bit here and there myself. As I did, I started getting some very funny looks from people, and I was using it in several different parts of the country recently and continued to get strange looks. I recently went to Charleston, South Carolina, where there's a fairly large black population, and when I said Nooice to the blacks I encountered to compliment them on something they were doing, for instance, I got another strange look. Kind of a look of some recognition, but they couldn't quite place the origin, or maybe it was my delivery of it that was lame. I returned from my trip and I asked my son, where did you first hear the use or enunciation of the word nice to be Nooice? He laughed and said he had heard it in a meme and promptly sent me the link. There are a couple of guys that produce memes and are fairly well known, I think, in a counterculture way. I watched the video and I laughed my head off. Their names are Key and Peele. The name of the meme is Nooice, and you can look it up on some streaming platforms. I laughed because the meme was a message of reconciliation to me, a call to put our differences behind us and unite despite our personal cultural differences. At the end of the meme, I think I can say this without spoiling it, there's a bus driver that leans out of his bus and says, Nooice. It just created the perfect ending to this little production. So it was very cool. Anyway, it is hilarious, and I might just title my 2025 podcast with that moniker. It's even funnier the older the person saying it. If any of you have comments, please add the term Nooice or not so Nooice. Since that message was about uniting and reconciliation, though, that brings me to the theme of my series that might be difficult to understand, or more likely I'm not polished at it yet. The idea kind of came to me as I was listening to the normal podcast talking either straight conservative or straight liberal perspectives. I thought, when there's a change the size of the actual polls changing, as there is now, there should be a voice or an influence that somehow bridges a gap. I think there was another guy and or group of guys that were successful at this very thing, but it's very rare. I'll let you guess who and when they were, but a hint is one was a very long time ago and the others were only about 60 years ago. Anyway, so I humbly submit myself in the arena of those attempting to communicate with both sides of the cultural divide, though never pretending to get to the level of those I reference above. I watched a comedian recently last night by the name of Tyler Fisher. Very talented guy, though crude at times. He employed the art of impressionist communication. Fairly rare these days, but was great, just fantastic at it, with the intentional direction of bridging the gap. Now, as comedians do, if they alienate all people in the audience to some small extent, they've done their jobs. I would listen to one of his specials if you get the chance. It's really worth it. Right up my alley. Now, this is no small writing and delivery challenge, and more about the word irony, I think, in my next segment. So you'll have that to look forward to. But I could see this going terribly wrong. But at least I will no longer be canceled, at least not for another 4 years. I've been criticized, and rightly so, for seeming buttoned up, for being kind of straight-laced and humorous. I will try to become more animated as these segments continue. I really am truly a funny guy, especially since my surgery. However, upon reflection, that's really what irony is all about. I wasn't able to actually add the link to the meme I referenced above, something about reaching monetized status requiring some 500 plus subscriptions or something. So, hey, like and definitely subscribe. Come on, monetize me, I dare you. JK. But seriously, someone is out there trying to bridge the gap. So throw us a bone, will you? Nooice.